kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Let's admit it, during this pandemic, many of us have gained a few pounds here and there. The next thing you know, you've gained 10 kilos or more. Blame it on the stress caused by this new normal that has dramatically changed the way we live. But while many of us are quick to think to go on a diet to lose weight, it's easier said than done. Plus, not all diets are effective. They're not all that safe either. The goal is to develop and stick to healthy eating habits. But where do we start? I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. While food intake and exercise are key components of weight loss, hormones and metabolism play a major role in all of this. This is why it's important to seek medical advice before going on a diet. Joining us on the program today are Dr. Jan Di Pasupil. He's a lifestyle and obesity medicine specialist from the Medical City Ortigas. Also with us is Dr. Maricar Esculto Can. She's an internal medicine specialist and the nutrition section chief of the Makati Medical Center. I've heard many people saying that they've gained weight since the pandemic started, and it's not just their imagination, it's a real thing. I'll start first with Dr. Jan. Explain natin how this all happened, and let's discuss also how we can now manage, especially with the holidays just around the corner.
First could be the stress. Okay? The stress, increasing of the stress hormone is associated with eating of the salty, the sugary, and even the fatty foods. So the body metabolizes these foods more slowly when we are under very high level of stress. In addition to that, it would increase the belly fat or the abdominal fat that puts the people at risk of metabolic diseases. The second one is the reduced physical activity. Because we are sitting more, we are working from home, and then we are moving less. That's why we have lost the muscle mass and then we have gained fat. The third is the new normal lifestyle. Due to the COVID-19 restrictions, we have discovered taking advantage of the food deliveries because it's accessible and convenient. So we are ordering fast foods and even desserts instead of cooking our meals or cooking healthy foods. And then the fourth one, and I believe a lot of us have been doing this one, is the midnight activities. So we binge watching TV series, movies that may potentially snack after the dinner and could lead to inadequate sleep.
Now, Dr. Maricar, let's revisit the overall food choices and eating habits of the average Filipino that may contribute to weight gain.
So during this pandemic, kasi a study was actually conducted by the Food and Nutrition Research Institute, so that was 2020, which showed that they found out that the typical diet of Filipinos, age 19 to 59 years of age, is comprised mostly of rice, fried pork and fish with a little vegetable. So carbohydrates and fat, we know that when eaten in excessive amounts, coupled with the decrease in physical activity that happened to us during this pandemic, so you have decreased energy expenditure. So it's actually a formula for weight gain. A positive energy intake and low energy expenditure. So that's your recipe for weight gain.
For some other people, they've turned to a very popular health and fitness trend to lose weight, and that is intermittent fasting. Dr. Jan, explain natin sa mga viewers kung ano ba yung intermittent fasting.
It's a dietary pattern. So that is the cycle between the brief periods of fasting with either no food or there is a significant calorie reduction. And that would be the periods of unrestricted eating. So the principle is like after hours without food, okay, the body is exhausting its sugar stores. And this would be the time that it would start burning off the fat. And this is somehow referred to the metabolic switching.
A lot of Filipinos really have ingrained in their system that kailangan breakfast, lunch, dinner. That's the normal. It may be merienda pa in between lunch and dinner. So what you're saying that it is okay to have less meals in a day? The body is completely healthy with having less meals?
Yes, you could have less of the meals. Of course, you have to consider the right kinds of foods.
Right.
Eating of the complex carbohydrates instead of the refined carbohydrates. So those are some things that you have to consider when you are going to have a good have a healthy eating.
There are different intermittent fasting methods. Now let's talk about those and explain when does one work better over the other, Dr. Jan?
Okay, there are three intermittent fasting. The first is the alternate day fasting. So there will be alternating between days of no food restriction with days with consisting of one meal that provides about 25% of the daily caloric needs. So example, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, this consists of your fasting days. While the Tuesday, Thursday, and then your Saturday will be your alternate days with no food restriction. The second type is the whole day fasting. So it's 1 to 2 days per week of complete fasting or up to the 25% of the daily caloric need. So you can still eat a little bit, but with no restriction on the other days. The most popular type of intermittent fasting is the time-restricted feeding. Okay, so it follows a meal plan each day with a designated time frame for fasting. So we have heard about the 16-8 kind of time-restricting or time-restricted intermittent fasting. That means meals are eaten from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and with fasting during the remaining hours of the day. Usually that would be 16 hours.
I'd like to ask Dr. Maricar, can you have coffee, for example, or some soup broth, or water even? What are some of the do's and don'ts pagdating sa intermittent fasting?
Usually, you're allowed to have intake of non-calorie containing food items. That includes your coffee and your tea broth. Okay, so in terms of the do's and don'ts, so we always remind that even if you're doing the intermittent fasting, you need to make sure that you still meet your required protein and micronutrient requirements. Okay, so including fruits, vegetables, and high quality protein during the feast hours. So yun yung reverse kasi niya, the fast and the feast hours. And at the same time, you should also be cautious of the total intake during the feast hours.
When we return, we'll talk more
Yes.
about how intermittent fasting works, what happens to the body when you fast, and how it helps with weight loss, among other things. MedTalk Health Talk is your partner in healthcare. We'll be back after a short break, so stay with us. We care for the growing needs of our community. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk here on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Intermittent fasting isn't about skipping meals now and again, nor is it about starving yourself. It's also not a solution for weight loss for everyone. That's why seeking advice from a healthcare professional, from a nutritionist, or your weight management specialist is very important. When you don't eat for a while, there are a number of things that happen in your body, including fat burning. Dr. Jan, let's explain that.
For the people who are intermittent fasting, okay, so when they follow that 16-8 hour of fasting or that kind of IF, the people who have fasted for at least 16 hours, they show a fat loss, okay, and there will be a maintenance of the muscle mass. That's why people who could stick with the 16 hours of fasting, if they would be following the time restricted, they could have a weight loss.
Now, there's also the aspect of cell repair for those who are doing intermittent fasting properly. Dr. Jan, how does that work naman?
There's a term called the autophagy. So it's a process of removing the old cells, repairing the damaged cells, and replacing it with new and healthier ones. So with this cell repair, it will prevent the toxin accumulation in the damaged cell and removing the harmful material and somehow preventing the infected cells from gathering.
Now, I'd like to turn to some of the most common diet mistakes naman. First is one food wonders with instant results. Dr. Maricar, dito naman tayo. There are diets out there that call for several things, for eating maybe only cabbage or drinking only vegetable juice. What are your thoughts on this?
Actually, Doc Freddy, those diet plans that you have mentioned are called fad diets. Okay, so what are fad diets? They are usually short-term popular diets that promise dramatic weight loss results. Okay, so a typical characteristic of fad diets is the over-restriction of certain important macronutrients in the diet that may have detrimental effects in the body. Okay, so some fad diets even require the client to purchase certain products or supplements. So sadly, fad diets take advantage of a person's desire for a quick fix, okay, and use it as a marketing strategy. So as health and proper nutrition advocates, we always remind the public to be discerning and consult a nutrition professional or an expert if they have weight loss concerns.
How about the fat-free, carb-free, sugar-free diet? How about these naman, Dr. Maricar? Let's start with carbs first. Do we really need to snub carbs altogether?
Carbohydrate is an important part of our diet. Okay? So it's an important macronutrient because it is our major source of energy. So we should remember that not all carbohydrates are the same. Okay? So we have your complex carbohydrates, which confers most of the beneficial effects, and you also have the simple carbohydrates, where the simple sugars belong. So usually, for example, in patients with diabetes, we recommend for the limitation of the simple sugar proportion. Okay, so if you are talking about a sugar-free diet, usually this diet is basically about limiting the consumption of carbohydrates in the form of simple sugars, such as sucrose, which is our usual table sugar, and any other food item that use added sugar in their preparation. So examples of that are candies, cakes, cookies, soft drinks, and other sugar-sweetened beverages.
What's healthy? What should our viewers know when it comes to these alternatives? What's not healthy? At bakit kaya? Kasi a lot of people use coconut sugar, maybe some stevia, or even honey as alternatives to refined table sugar. Ano yung suggestion nyo, Dr. Maricar? Which should our viewers use?
People who are trying to eliminate sugar in their diet turn to the so-called artificial sweeteners or sugar substitutes. No? Sometimes they may also be referred to as your non-nutritive sweeteners because they do not provide additional calories or carbohydrates. Okay, so using sugar substitute does not make an unhealthy choice healthy. So you should remember that. So it just makes such a choice less healthy. So in terms of choosing which diet, you still need to be familiar with the particular nutrition fact information of the certain sugar substitute that you plan to use. So sometimes kasi they still contain a little calorie. So that should be taken into consideration when you plan your overall diet.
So Dr. Maricar, what's your take on these zero-calorie, sugar-free sodas? Are they actually healthier? Is it healthier to drink than regular soda?
Does not make it healthier. It just makes it less unhealthy. But the problem with allowing patients to be liberal in terms of their intake of sugar-free carbonated drinks, it tends to displace the sufficient intake of water, which is the best option actually if you want to give your body proper hydration. So that's the downside of it. So yes, in reality, it does not contribute additional calories, but it displaces a more important fluid source, which is our water.
Many experts will emphasize the importance of a colorful diet. Green leafy vegetables, orange and yellow fruits and vegetables that are packed with vitamin C. More of what you should be having on your plate. MedTalk Health Talk is your partner in healthcare. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk, where caring is our calling. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Sabi nga nila, you are what you eat, and eating healthy means you stay healthy. We've learned so much about healthy eating from our younger years, and it might be worth reviewing. A colorful diet apparently is a nice way to look at it. Dr. John, tell us more about this. How can we make this a part of our day-to-day, having that nice colorful diet?
Eating of their fruits or vegetables of different colors every day. So there's this red, the yellow, the green, even the blue or purple kinds of fruits and vegetables, like the fruits, red fruits and vegetables, such as the tomatoes, the strawberries, the red beans. These are packed with vitamins A, C, and then potassiums. Next is the yellow and the orange fruits and vegetables. Examples would be carrots, the peaches, the squash, also loaded with vitamin C and vitamin A. For the green color, that would be your leafy vegetables, your broccoli, your cauliflower, and this would be heart protective too, And we also have this particular antioxidant like your glucosinolates that may lower the risk of certain cancer. While the fourth one, which is the blue or even the purple fruits and vegetables, including these cranberries, the grapes, the raisins, and even the eggplants, may help in boosting our urinary tract health, even the memory, and somehow promote the healthy aging through this specific anthocyanin antioxidant.
Dr. Maricar, what's the real deal on the number of times that we should be eating on any given day?
Weight gain is not necessarily affected by how frequent you eat. It is affected more by how much you eat. Okay, so the total calorie intake for the day will dictate the effect on your energy balance. So as I have mentioned earlier, if you are eating more than what you expend or burn during physical activity, and you have a consistent positive energy balance, that will result to weight gain. Now, in terms of the frequency, actually it will depend on what is applicable for your condition because there are patients, for example, they benefit more if their daily intake is distributed throughout the day with snacks. Okay, so for example, patients with diabetes who are on insulin, so they need to have a constant supply of substrates in their body. So it will really be more, if you're concerned about weight gain, the main factor is the total calories, not the frequency of the meals.
What can you say, Dr. Maricar, about those who decide on their weight loss strategy by eating one big meal just for the whole day? Isang malaking meal lang for the entire day and they feel that they will lose weight with this. What's your take on that?
Almost similar to doing the intermittent fasting, right? So we should be vigilant in terms of looking out for patients who are prone to have eating disorders. No? Kasi usually, those who practice that style of eating, so they are the ones who are prone to have eating disorders. So you should do a thorough counseling with them. So you should explain to them the importance of eating a more balanced diet that is distributed throughout the day.
Exercise is another strategy to healthy weight loss. Aside from shedding those unwanted pounds, exercise has other health benefits as well. Dr. John, let's talk about all these good things that happen in the body when we are eating healthy and being active at the same time.
In addition to healthy eating, we definitely need to move. Okay, but before we go to the benefits, I think we have to first define what is the difference or differentiate exercise from physical activity. Because Filipinos, when they think about exercise, naku, ang hirap niyan. So when you say exercise, it's a subset. So it's a component of the physical activity that is planned, structured, and even repetitive movements to improve or maintain our fitness. But when you say physical activity, it's any bodily movement that's produced by the muscle requiring energy so you could burn calories. Okay, so what are examples of the physical activity? General gardening, okay, household chores, cleaning your car, okay, or maybe your collections. Well, you say exercise, these are jogging. This could be your push-ups, planking, and so on. So there are numerous benefits of exercise or physical activity. First, it may help keeping your weight off. Okay, even if you have been doing your right diet, let's say you are going for an OMAD, there would be a time that there would be a weight plateau. So your body will be able to adapt to that kind of eating, and so you won't be able to lose more weight. So you need additional help by moving. Next, it would reduce the risk of heart diseases. It would manage your blood sugar levels. It would lower your cholesterol levels, even the inflammation levels. It may protect our liver and somehow improve our mental health. So there are a lot of benefits of exercise or maybe physical activity.
Thank you, lifestyle medicine specialist Dr. John Di Pasupil and clinical nutritionist Dr. Maricar Esculto-Can. We appreciate your time in joining us on today's episode. Choose well and choose to be healthy. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and thank you for watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.